I'm drawing a tooth fairy, a lady who, for no apparent reason, collects your baby teeth. This concept of a character always seemed creepy to me, so I thought it would be interesting to portray this character from that more eerie and mysterious perspective. The materials that I'm using are big ballpoint pens and Canson paper. I'm drawing on the smooth side of the paper, and here are some technical specifications. This drawing took me a couple of weeks, but I can't really tell you the exact time that I spent on it because I was playing a lot of Sims 4 and I also went to a Spanish chess championship last week, so I didn't really have a lot of time to work on this. But yeah, in total I think it was like a month or so, maybe a bit less. The reason why I'm using ballpoint pens is because it's my favorite traditional media at the moment. I can achieve smooth shading and like very crisp lines at the same time, and I don't really have to be constantly changing materials or like picking a pencil, picking a pen or something like that. I just love working with like one thing during the whole process. I don't know why. It's just my preference, I guess. I also love how homogeneous the illustration looks when you only work with one thing. But yeah, it's not really something I would recommend everyone, it's just the way I work and I enjoy it. But as you can see, I'm also using two different types of ballpoint pens. The black one is Crystal Exact and the orange one is Orange Original Fine, I think it's called. So the difference between them is of a 0.1 millimeter, which is a tiny difference. The Exact Big is 0.7 millimeters and the orange one is 0.8. But the key difference between them is actually the ink flow. The Exact Big's flow is very consistent and very smooth. It's like cutting through butter. But it also makes it more difficult to do very light shading. Even if I draw as quickly and lightly as possible, you can still see all the individual strokes and it's very hard to control. On the other hand, the orange one is much easier to control in that way because it has like more resistance to the tip. So you have to apply a little bit more pressure when you draw with it. So yeah, like in summary, I use the black one for the crisp lines, the very dark areas, and the orange one for like everything else. The light shading, the smooth gradients and stuff like that. Now to the more popular and most frequently asked question that I always get in all the comments. Why the hell don't I use a big marker to fill the black areas? I know it seems strange, it seems like a waste of time, but it's a conscious choice of mine. I want everything in a drawing to look very uniform. All the textures, all the shades, I want them to be the exact same. The darkest area on the eyes or on the lips, it's the exact same shade as the black frame. I really enjoy the subtle texture that the pen leaves on the paper. I also like this reddish subtone that you can see when you look at the drawing from a different angle. You know, when you turn your head a little bit and you can see the reddish reflection on the paper. I really like that, and when you do that with a marker, you can clearly see the difference in the shade. I know that it can seem very unimportant and just generally stupid because like why wouldn't you use something more appropriate for that exact purpose? But yeah, I just don't want to do that. For me the difference is very apparent and I don't know, just simply my preference. I always get a lot of weird comments about that. Like I'm wasting my time or whatever. I like working this way and it's a conscious choice. I repeat, it's a conscious choice. Please stop questioning me. And it's not like I don't have a big marker or a Sakura Pigma with a brush tip. I do have them, I just don't want to use them for this purpose. It's so strange that people are frustrated because I'm wasting my time or whatever, but like if I was playing Sims 4, nobody would tell me that I waste time. So please let me do my art however I want. You know, I'm not in a hurry. I have all day to do this. So in summary, I like the texture, I like the reddish subtone, and I love the uniformity of, like, you can see that everything is done with the same material. It's just satisfying to me. Changing the topic, my biggest struggle with this illustration, I think it's definitely the big format, because I'm not really used to working with such a big piece of paper, and it felt very awkward and clumsy on my tiny desk, so I had to rotate the paper a lot. I also kept accidentally bending the corners, and it was really hard at the beginning. Oh, and obviously you have to be much more patient with such a big format, because you can't just finish it in 1 or 2 days. You have to really invest your time here. But yeah, it was also a nice change of workflow because I'm used to drawing on much smaller formats, and it also has its problems. So for example, in this specific big drawing, I felt much more freedom when I moved my hand around the paper. It was much more relaxing as well because I didn't have to do all the microscopic tiny details. And yeah, I actually really enjoyed being able to see a big result and feel accomplished because of that. When you finish a drawing in your sketchbook, you just close the sketchbook and you put it aside, and it's like it never existed. In this case, I have my drawing laying on the bed in my workspace, and it feels really good, like I actually made a thing. It's something else. I really want to do more of that, but I don't know if I will have enough patience for something similar, or if I'm going to go another way, maybe try a different technique or another medium entirely. We'll see. Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this video. And as you can see, I'm not used to talking to the camera. My favorite medium of communication is drawing and creating art. So yeah, talking to this thingy, it's not my best skill. But I hope you're being patient with me, and I hope you also like to see more. And if you have any questions, please tell me and I'll try to answer them. See you in the next video, I guess. Bye!